All right, everyone ready for this? We're going deep today into the world of sacred geometry.
Ooh, sounds interesting.
Yeah, we've got an article here called Four Sacred Geometry Patterns That Unlock Human Potential.
Okay. Unlock human potential. Huh, that's a pretty big claim.
Right. I mean, the title alone kind of makes you raise an eyebrow.
Yeah, a little bit woo-woo at first glance, maybe.
Yeah, but I think there's some interesting stuff to unpack here.
Okay, yeah, I'm game. What kind of patterns are we talking about?
So we've got the Flower of Life, Metatron's Cube.
Metatron's cube. That one sounds pretty
Oh, that's
intense.
got a good ring to it,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And then there's the Sri Yantra and the Golden Ratio. Have you ever, like, felt drawn to a certain shape, like, for no real reason?
Hmm. I don't know that I have, but now I'm kind of curious.
Yeah, yeah. Maybe there's something to it, a deeper meaning or something.
It's definitely interesting to think about. I mean, these patterns, they show up in so many different cultures and spiritual traditions, right?
Exactly, like throughout history.
Which suggests there's something universal about them.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like they speak to something deep within us. Okay, so let's start with this Flower of Life thing.
Okay.
So the article describes it as this pattern of overlapping circles.
Okay, I can picture that.
And they say it's been found, like, everywhere. Ancient temples, texts all over the place.
Hmm.
Some people even claim it holds the blueprint for creation itself, the whole universe.
Wow, the blueprint for the universe, huh? I don't know about that.
Yeah, I know it sounds kind of out there.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
even if we set aside the whole creation thing, it's still a pretty powerful symbol. Right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you've got all these interconnected circles, represents unity, harmony. Those are pretty big concepts.
Right, exactly. And that actually ties into one of the things the article talks about. It says the flower of life can help us see our challenges differently.
Differently how?
Well, instead of seeing problems as, like, isolated things, it encourages us to see them as part of a larger web of experience.
Oh, I see. So it's more about understanding the context of the problem?
Yeah, like how everything is connected. Maybe that work deadline that's stressing you out is actually connected to a need for more balance in your personal life.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. It's all about perspective, right?
Exactly. Okay, so moving on, we've got Metatron's cube.
Yeah, that's the one I was curious about. What is that exactly?
Well, it's a little hard to explain without visuals,
Mm-hmm.
but basically imagine like a cosmic puzzle.
A cosmic puzzle. Okay.
Yeah, and this puzzle, it includes all 5 Platonic solids.
Platonic solids, those are like,
They're these special 3D shapes, like the cube, the tetrahedron.
right, yeah.
And ancient Greek philosophers, they believed these shapes were the building blocks of the physical world.
Whoa, so you're saying this Metatron's cube has like all the fundamental shapes of the universe packed into one?
Pretty much. And because of that, it's often seen as this symbol of harmony and balance.
It's like a cosmic blueprint.
The article suggests that visualizing Metatron's cube can help you bring those qualities, harmony and balance, into your own life. Oh, interesting. It's like a tool for personal growth or something.
Exactly.
So I have to ask this because I always thought it was kind of interesting. They connect each of the Platonic solids to a specific element, right? Like earth, air, fire, water, and ether.
Yeah, I've heard that.
It's like you need a burst of creative energy. You can, like, tap into the fire element within the cube or whatever.
It's a symbolic way to think about it, for sure.
Yeah. Okay. Next one, Sri Yantra. This one, I'll be honest, I'm not super familiar with.
Me neither, actually. What is that one all about?
So from what I gather, it's this sacred geometric pattern used a lot in, like, Hindu and Buddhist traditions.
Okay.
And it's made up of 9 interlocking triangles.
Triangles. What's the meaning behind that?
Well, in this context, the triangles represent the union of, like, masculine and feminine energies.
Oh, interesting. So it's about like the integration of opposites.
Exactly. It's not about one being better than the other, but, like, bringing them together, creating balance.
Makes sense.
And the article uses a really good example to illustrate this: work-life balance.
Oh, yeah, that's always a tough one.
Right. It's not about, like, ignoring your work to focus on life or vice versa. It's about finding a way to integrate both.
Finding that sweet spot where they complement each other.
Yeah, I like that. Okay, last one on the list, the golden ratio.
This one is a little different, right? Then it's not a shape, it's a ratio.
Right, exactly. Approximately 1.618. But the question is, why is a math concept considered sacred?
Well, it's called the golden ratio for a reason. It shows up everywhere. Nature, art, architecture, even the proportions of the human body.
No way. Seriously?
Yeah, and it's often associated with beauty and harmony.
So you're telling me, like, the same ratio that's found in a sunflower is also present in, like, the Mona Lisa?
Pretty much. It's like this hidden code that governs beauty and balance throughout the universe.
That's crazy. And the article goes on to say that we can actually apply this golden ratio to our own lives.
Oh, interesting. Like how?
Well, they talk about using it for personal growth, for improving relationships, even for boosting creativity.
That's fascinating. I would have never thought about applying a math concept to like self-improvement.
Yeah, it sounds kind of out there, but it all comes back to this idea of balance and proportion,
Hmm.
right? Finding that sweet spot.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. So we've covered a lot of ground here. Flower of Life, Metatron's Cube, Sri Yantra, Golden Ratio.
Yeah, we've explored a lot of these cool patterns. There's symbolism.
It's a lot to take in.
It is, right.
Yeah.
But you know what I find really interesting is that these patterns, while they might not literally unlock our potential in some magical way,
Yeah, I don't think anyone's claiming that.
right, but they do offer a framework for thinking about things,
Mhm.
like balance, interconnectedness, personal growth.
It's a new way of looking at the world almost.
Yeah. And who knows, maybe there is something more to these shapes than meets the eye. Maybe there's a reason why they've resonated with humans for so long.
It's definitely something to think about.
Okay, so we've talked about these sacred geometry patterns, what
Yeah.
they mean, the symbolism, all that good stuff.
Yeah, a lot of cool concepts.
Right. But now I'm thinking, okay, how do we actually use this stuff?
Yeah.
Like in real life?
That's the million-dollar question, right? It's one thing to admire these patterns, but how do we actually apply them to our lives?
Yeah, exactly. Luckily, the article has some suggestions. So let's go back to the flower of life for a second.
Okay.
We talked about how it represents interconnectedness, right?
Right.
So how can we actually use that idea to like navigate challenges?
Well, the article suggests using the flower of life as a visual tool.
A visual tool. Okay.
Yeah, so imagine you're at the center of this pattern, right? And you're faced with a problem. Instead of just focusing on that one issue, try to zoom out. See how it connects to other areas of your life.
Oh, I see. Like get a broader perspective.
Exactly. Maybe you're feeling overwhelmed at work, but is it really just about work? Or could it be connected to something else, like lack of sleep, not enough time with loved ones?
Yeah, it's all connected.
The flower of life reminds us of that. It helps us see those connections.
Okay, that's pretty cool. So Metatron's cube. We talked about how it includes all those Platonic solids, the building blocks of the universe.
Right, all those fundamental shapes.
And the article says we can use this cube as like a tool for personal transformation.
Interesting. How so?
Well, it's all about tapping into those different elements that are represented by the Platonic solids. Earth, air, fire, water, ether.
Oh, yeah, right. Each element is associated with different qualities.
Right, like if you're feeling uninspired, maybe you need to focus on the fire element to spark some passion. Or if you're struggling to communicate effectively, maybe it's the air element that needs attention.
It's like using the cube as a guide for self-improvement.
Yeah, like a map of your inner world or something. All right, now on to the Sri Yantra. This one's all about the union of masculine and feminine energies, right?
Right, the integration of opposites, creating balance.
And the article suggests that we can use this pattern to find balance in our like material and spiritual lives.
Oh, that's interesting. So it's not just about work-life balance.
Right. It's about finding that harmony between like the everyday stuff and the bigger questions of life.
Yeah, totally. I think it's easy to get so caught up in the day-to-day that we forget to nurture our spiritual side.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And the Sri Yantra can be a reminder of that. The article even talks about using it to attract abundance.
Abundance,
And I think they mean abundance in like a holistic sense. Not just money, but also love, joy, purpose, all that good stuff.
Right, it's about having a fulfilling life
Yeah.
in all areas. Okay, so what about the golden ratio?
Ah, yes, the golden ratio. This one's fascinating. The article talks about how it can be applied to like personal development and creativity.
Okay.
So remember how we talked about how it's this ratio that's found everywhere in nature and art?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they're saying we can use that same principle of balance and proportion to achieve our goals.
So it's like using the golden ratio as a guide to create a more balanced life?
Exactly. Like, let's say you're super focused on your career, but you're neglecting your health and relationships.
Right, that's not sustainable in the long run.
Exactly. The golden ratio reminds us to find that balance. Make sure all areas of our lives are in harmony.
I like that. It's about creating a life that's both beautiful and functional, like a well-designed building or a piece of art.
And the article also mentions applying this ratio to creative pursuits. Like if you're writing a song, painting a picture, or even just designing your living space, you can use this principle of balance and proportion to make it more aesthetically pleasing.
So it's not just about personal growth, it's about tapping into our creative potential as well.
Exactly. It's amazing how this one little math concept can have such a big impact.
I know, it's pretty mind-blowing when you think about it.
So we spent all this time talking about shapes and patterns. I have to ask, like, what's the big takeaway here? Why should we even care about this sacred geometry stuff?
You know, when you look at these patterns, the flower of life, Metatron's cube, they pop up in so many different cultures, right?
Yeah, like across history and all over the world.
It makes you wonder if there's something innate about them, like some kind of deep human fascination with order, with harmony.
Yeah, it's like we're drawn to these shapes without even realizing it sometimes.
And what's really interesting to me is that these patterns, they're not just like mystical symbols, you know?
Right.
They actually have a basis in science and math, like the golden ratio. We see that in nature, in the human body, even in like the structure of
It's
galaxies.
like a universal language almost.
Yeah, it kind of makes you think, are these patterns just representations of something deeper, or are they clues to like the fundamental nature of reality itself?
Whoa, that's getting pretty deep.
Right. So where do we go from here? I think it starts with just being more aware,
Aware of what?
aware of the patterns all around us in
Yeah.
nature, in art, in architecture. Take a moment to appreciate the beauty of a flower or the spiral of a seashell.
And those patterns are all based on these principles we've been talking about.
Exactly. Cultivate that sense of wonder.
Yeah.
It's about seeing the world through a new lens, one that recognizes the interconnectedness of everything. And maybe, just maybe, that can lead to a deeper understanding of ourselves and our place in the universe.
That's a great way to put it. So I think we've covered a lot of ground in this deep dive, learned about some fascinating patterns, their symbolism, and even how we can apply these concepts to our lives. Big thanks to you for sharing your insights with us.
Thanks for having me. It's been a really fun conversation.
And to everyone listening, thanks for joining us. We hope you enjoyed this deep dive into the world of sacred geometry. Keep exploring, keep those minds open, and until next time, keep those patterns flowing.